Hey there. It's Saturday, November 27th. Um, and this is, of course, the daily lectionary reading. Today we've got Psalm 25, 1 to 10. And since we are on day 3 of this psalm, we are reading it out of the Common English Bible translation. In case you're just now joining, um, with the Psalms, with the poetry, I've been doing this the last few weeks. Looking at it in different versions to see, because sometimes the poetic nature doesn't come through in one particular version or the other. So with the Psalms in particular, I'm reading different versions. We do the NRSV, our Pew Bible, we do the Message, and we do the Common English Bible. And if I run across a different translation I think does a good job of the poetry, I might switch one of those out for you. So that's Psalm 25, 1 to 10. We've got Nehemiah 9, 26 to 31. We're building on yesterday's Nehemiah text. And then we've got Luke 21, 20 to 24. So Psalm 25 is a prayer for guidance and delivery. I offer my life to you, Lord. My God, I trust you. Please don't let me be put to shame. Don't let my enemies rejoice over me. For that matter, don't let anyone who hopes in you be put to shame. Instead, let those who are treacherous without excuse be put to shame. Make your ways known to me, Lord. Teach me your paths. Lead me in your truth. Teach it to me, because you are the God who saves me. I put my hope in you all day long. Lord, remember your compassion and faithful love. They are forever. But don't remember the sins of my youth or my wrongdoing. Remember me only according to your faithful love, for the sake of your goodness, Lord. The Lord is good and does the right thing. He teaches sinners which way they should go. God guides the weak to justice, teaching them his way. All the Lord's paths are loving and faithful for those who keep his covenant laws. That's a pretty good with the poetry, I think. All right, let's look at Nehemiah 9, 26 to 31. And before we get into that, let's take a look at yesterday's real quick, where we did 6 to 25. And it started off, this chapter 9 of Nehemiah, the walls have been built where Nehemiah went back to rebuild from Babylon, went to rebuild the walls around Jerusalem and to restore the temple. So they'd gotten permission from Cyrus to do so. And Nehemiah was the governor of Judah for the empire during that time. That 12 years he was there. In chapter 8, Ezra had summoned the people and read the law to them. They'd fallen away, so they read the law to them. Chapter 9 is about basically a national confession. And these are the words of Ezra, as recorded by Nehemiah. And yesterday's reading, he talks about their history. God saw the distress of their ancestors in Egypt and heard their cry at the Red Sea, and he gave them signs and wonders. He led them by the pillar of fire at night and the pillar of cloud by the day, and he brought them into the promised land. So the descendants went in and possessed the land, and you subdued before them the inhabitants of the land, the Canaanites, and gave them into your hands, and they gave them abundance, and they filled and became fat and delighted themselves in your great goodness. And we pick up there when he says, nevertheless, they were disobedient and rebelled against you and cast your law behind their backs and killed your prophets who had warned them in order to turn them back to you, and they committed great blasphemies. Therefore, you gave them into the hands of their enemies who made them suffer. Then, in the time of their suffering, they cried out to you, and you heard them from heaven. According to your great mercies, you gave them saviors who saved them from the hands of their enemies. But after they had had rest, they did evil before you, and you abandoned them to the hands of the enemies, so that they had dominion over them. Yet when they turned and cried to you, you heard them from heaven, and many times you rescued them according to your mercies. This is that cycle, by the way, time out, in Judges that I've talked about many times here and in church. Listen to my sermons, where we've got this cycle in the Judges where the people fall away from God, and God lets their enemies um, dominate them for a while. Um, and then the people cry out, and God answers them and raises up a judge who saves them from their oppressors. And then they're good for a while, and then they fall away again. This is that cycle. That's what Ezra is talking about here. And yet you warned them in order to turn them back to your law. Yet they acted presumptuously and did not obey your commandments, but sinned against your ordinances, by the observance of which a person shall live. They turned a stubborn shoulder and stiffened their necks and would not obey. Many years you were patient with them and warned them by your Spirit through your prophets, yet they would not listen. Therefore you handed them over to the peoples of the lands. Nevertheless, in your great mercies, you did not make an end of them or forsake them, for you are a gracious and merciful God. Thank goodness that He does not forsake us or abandon us, because we do. We personally tend to run on this cycle a lot, don't we? We're good for a while, and then we kind of fall away, and then we cry out to God, and we do the cycle. All right, let's go to Luke 21:20-24. Oh, the destruction of Jerusalem foretold. When you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then know that its desolation has come near. Then those in Judea must flee to the mountains, and those inside the city must leave it, and those out in the country must not enter it. For these are the days of vengeance, as a fulfillment of all that is written. Woe to those who are pregnant and to those who are nursing infants in those days, for there will be great distress on earth and wrath against his people. They will fall by the edge of the sword and will be taken away as captives among all nations, and Jerusalem will be trampled on by the Gentiles until the times of the Gentiles are fulfilled. AD 70, actually it started in, I think, 67, the rebellion. The Jews rebelled. And Rome responded, as Rome does, in force, um, besieged Jerusalem for about 3 years, before they finally basically starved them into submission. And they came in and they razed the temple. And I mean Razed. They razed it, not raised it up. They tore it down. The Roman eagle was hanging on over the temple. The desolation had come near. It's very interesting if you read the historians. Millions of Jews, thousands, if not millions of Jews died during this rebellion in Jerusalem. A surprising percentage of Christians in this baby church, right? The church had only been around 20, 30 years, survived because they heeded Christ's warning here, and they left when 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 Rome came in force to squash this rebellion. Most of the Christians left, so they survived. They did survive much more so than other Jews. Remember, in that day, the church was a Jewish. But again, Christ had told them, so they survived in greater numbers, greater percentages than the other Jews. That's what I got for you today, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.